Hi, my name is Jim Donovan, and welcome to the Drumcircle Leadership Webinar. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. My purpose here today is to share with you information about how the Drumcircle Leadership Training might be of benefit to you. And the way we'll do this is that we'll answer 4 key questions. First, we'll talk about how drum circles can help people. Secondly, we'll look at some of the common challenges that people run into when they run drum circles. Third, we'll take time to discuss what the training is actually all about, as well as the kinds of people that might benefit from taking such a training. Now, in addition to being an incredibly fun thing to do, some good news is that drum circles actually have the ability to help us manage and meet some of the key problems we face as a society together, specifically stress and anxiety, depression, loneliness, and even the idea of feeling more connected to people. What's interesting is this idea of drumming has been around for many thousands of years. Regardless of where your ancestors come from, at some point during your history, your ancestors got together and made music together. Whether they were from Africa or Europe or Australia, Native America, regardless of where you're from, somewhere back in your history, you have ancestors that sat together and made music together. One of the beautiful things about group music making is that it connects us. It draws people to each other, even if those people don't speak the same language. Not only that, but it gives us a much needed release, not to mention how happy it can make us. Now, the really good news about all these ideas is that we actually have research behind every single one of them. In a nutshell, we've seen over and over again how drumming can not only release stress, but there's been studies on how group music making can build immunity in cancer patients. Some research that I'm involved in has shown how drumming can help increase attention to task in children with autism. And in a completely different setting, it's been shown to decrease the turnover rate in the long-term healthcare environment. What we know for sure is that the need for effective facilitators and leaders far outweighs their availability. And so the purpose of this training is to offer you a clear path to help be a part of the solution to some of the big problems that we face. Now, I realize that this might be the first time you've run into me, and so first of all, nice to meet you. And secondly, I'd like to give you just a little bit of my background so that you can know me better and know where I'm coming from. I've been teaching for quite a long time, about 15 years. I added up recently how many events I've done, and I was quite shocked to see that I've done over 2,200 events and counting. I do a lot of work in university environments, corporate environments, as well as public venues. I'm also currently on faculty at St. Francis University. My education background, I have a master's degree in educational leadership, and I had quite a bit of classical training at the University of Pittsburgh a long time ago, as well as a psychology minor. You can see some of the awards I've gotten here. And you can see that a couple of these are related to my other career as a performer. I used to play in a band called Rusted Root many years ago. For about 15 years, I traveled all over the world doing concerts with people like Carlos Santana, the Grateful Dead, members of Led Zeppelin. And so a lot of my background comes from being with people every night. Now that you know a little bit more about my background, I'd like to tell you all about Drumcircle Leadership Training. The first thing you should know is that this training really is a system. It's an accessible, step-by-step system that helps you to create and facilitate your own transformational drum circles. The heart of this training really is embodied in these ideas of accessibility, empowerment and education, connecting people, and inspiring people to really feel comfortable just to be themselves. Accessibility is just about making it our job to find a way to bring whoever shows up in. regardless of their limitations or perceived limitations, regardless of their experience, regardless of their shyness or maybe their apathy. So we find ways to make it accessible. When we empower them, we give them really good information and techniques that work. This work is all about people. It's all about creating connections, deepening those connections, and essentially creating community together. And lastly, it's about inspiring authenticity, really reminding people how important it is and how much the world needs for them to be themselves. When we do this, some really interesting things happen. We build community, we develop future leaders, we help to advance consciousness, we help to expand the things we all love so much, that joy, the love, the peace in life. And when we do all these things well, in the big picture, we improve quality of life for everyone. Now in the training, there's 4 basic understandings. These are the foundation of the entire training. First is that I show you how to effectively use drum circle music making techniques, even if you aren't a quote-unquote musician. Secondly, I give you ways to adapt those techniques to your specific situation. What I don't do is create cookie cutters. What I do create is a situation and a system that helps you to learn the basics and then shift them and adjust them towards your specific need. Third foundation is that we create safety prior to every event. We make sure that whoever comes to play and to work with us feels completely safe so that we can bring the best out in them. And lastly, I help to show you how to design your own unique events. This training also aims to shatter some of the preconceived notions that people come in with. The first of which is, and this might sound completely crazy, but I've seen it over and over again, that non-musicians can do this. In fact, even if you don't have musical experience, the fact that you're willing tells me that there's got to be a way. What I've developed is a system that shows you how to do this without the need to read music and really without much musical experience whatsoever. Now, of course, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And what I want you to know is that even if you're at the beginning, there's a way to begin the process right away. Secondly, musical experience and specifically reading music is not a requirement. We don't do any of that in this training. I give you all the basic skill sets that you need to begin right away. Now, if you've got musical experience, of course you can build on top of that. That's exciting. That'll give you more colors in your palette. And it's not an absolute necessity. Third, I want you to know that especially if you're in an environment where it can't be very loud, that a drum circle doesn't have to be a very loud experience. There are quite a few ways to do this and not disrupt the people in the room next to you. And then lastly, even though some of the big African drums can be quite pricey, there are also alternative instruments that you can use where you can outfit an entire room full of people, 20, 25 people for under $100. By the end of the training, my goal is to help you to know a philosophy for inclusive group music making. I'm going to show you methodologies, which include step-by-step techniques. All of those techniques, by the way, are detailed in a manual that you get as part of the training, so you get to take that home. I also give you a lot of strategies for troubleshooting in case you come against some problems. By the end, my goal is to get you ready to begin leading your own circles, no matter how small or large they are. I show you ways to adapt things that you already know, skills that you already have, to the information that I give you. And then lastly, I show you ways to design your own unique experiences. That's the fun part. Some solutions I give you are how to create safe environments to bring out the best in people. I show you a very simple and very effective way to get group music making happening quickly, in under a minute, in fact. It's very simple when you see it. I also show you how to use this particular system to give you infinite rhythmic possibilities so that you never run out of source material to begin that music making. I give you some tried and tested ways of shaping and enhancing the sound that's happening in the circle. I also give you some very specific stress reduction techniques that you can use for yourself, as well as teach and share with the people that come to you. And then lastly, I give you some very specific strategies and even some scripts, so specific things that you can say to help you manage some of the challenging behaviors that you might run into in working with people. And yes, you could be drumming right now. If you come to the training, here's what you get. Depending on the format of the training, I run 3-day and 4-day trainings. We do a lot when we're together. You also get valuable practice time. Now, of course, all that's optional. You can certainly come and just sit and watch. What I find is that it's really getting yourself into a circle that helps the learning to become more valuable. You also have opportunities to work in small groups with people, so little mini think tanks, if you will, where you each will sharpen each other. You will get a signed certificate of completion that denotes your contact hours. Some of you may work in facilities that will give you credit for those hours, and so you get that documentation. Also looks nice to frame. And as I said before, you get a 100-page plus spiral bound manual. So it's a nice manual that gives you all the information plus information we don't cover in the training so that you can continue your studies at home. I also go over what I call conscious leadership concepts. These are ideas to help you sharpen yourself as someone who's going to be leading others. On the last day of the training, there's an optional live group experience where we bring in a group of people from the public. And if you're willing, you get to step in and help to facilitate them. All this being said, you're always encouraged to be in charge of yourself. What that means is that everything is optional. There's no pressure or coercion to do anything other than what you'd like to do. You also get plenty of feedback and constructive guidance as we move through the training. The methods that I teach you are those that I have used over and over again. So these are tried and tested ways of doing this material. What I never want to give you is something that I'm not sure of or that doesn't work. I give you marketing tools for those of you who want to sell programs. I also give you access to our private training network group. That's a Facebook group that's for members only, as well as information about budget-friendly instruments. We go over some methods for dealing with very specific populations, such as those with disabilities like autism. We do sections on working with children as well as senior citizens. Now, these are not the main focus of the training, but they will give you some introductory information to help you if you choose to work with those populations. You'll also get some very specific and effective techniques to deal with nervousness, as well as some planning time that will help you to create actionable steps for after the training, so that you have something to do once you get home that's very specific and very focused. You might be wondering now, who else uses a drum circle? What would be some good places to do one in? What kind of occupations do people have that use them? Now, there are certainly people in the world that are professional drum circle facilitators that go out in the world and do this as a living. I do that myself. What I want you to know is that there are also ways to use drum circles, perhaps even in the job you're currently in. What I'd like to do is just give you a snapshot of the different kinds of occupations that are already using drum circles. Many people from the following occupations have already been through my training. anyone that works with children, people that work in addiction and substance abuse centers, camp counselors, grief counselors, music therapists, music teachers, therapeutic music makers, people who work with those who've been through trauma and abuse, alternative healers, again, people that work with kids in after-school settings or disadvantaged youth. If you're a social worker, this is a really wonderful tool for your tool belt. And even people who are disaster relief workers. Anytime you're with people, there's always an opportunity to do something connective with them. Some other places, churches, spiritual group leaders, elementary educators, and even corporate facilitators looking for some new tools and activities for their toolbox. To be honest, the only limitation to using this technology of the drum circle is your own imagination. First of all, congratulations for making it this far. If you've watched for this long, you must be really interested in drum circle leadership. So here's where we've been so far. What we know from this webinar is that drum circles can help us address some of the key problems we have in the world. The training is designed to help you meet the challenges of starting and maintaining a drum circle. The drum circle leadership training is an accessible step-by-step system. It's designed to help you get started right away. And as we've just seen, there are many, many environments that could use the magic that happens in a drum circle. Okay, now if you are ready to take the next step and learn even more about drum circle leadership training, or if you'd like to know when the next trainings are happening, I'd like to give you the website, which is simply drumcircleleadership.com. Very simple. Now, when you go to the site, you will find also a section of free resources that you are welcome to use whether you come to the training or not, so you can go check those out. Lastly, I want you to know that if you do decide to come to a training, and I sure hope that you do, that I completely stand behind every one of my trainings. And so what that means is that I offer 100% money back guarantee if you're not happy. And so if you're ready, I want to invite you to go to the website, drumcircleleadership.com. You may also click the link below. You can see that right below the video here on YouTube. And I really look forward to meeting you. So thanks again for joining me. My name is Jim Donovan, and this has been Drum Circle Leadership Webinar. Thank you so much.